So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Ajoa Nisaya Jennings and Jennifer Natia Moa, both from the Jury Network, and they're going to be talking to us about empowering women in health informatics. Thank you very much. Go and get someone.
I'll just see if I can get out.
2000. 2019.
It's not showing on here.
It's gone for some. There we go. Excellent.
I just need to check this one works. Lovely. Oh, well, Hugh, it's really great to be kind of talking with you today. So my name is Ajoa Jennings. I'm aware of many hats. So I'm a registered nurse, a digital educator, a voluntary bereavement counsellor, and also sit on the steering group Jury Network. I suppose for me, even though working in digital education now for the last few years, I'm not the person to call if your computer breaks. However, you want to feel infused and excited about learning how to train and educate people really well for digital transformation, I'm most certainly your help.
Hi everyone, so my name is Jennifer Ntianwa, and my job title's up here, but just to kind of summarize, so I advise my senior leadership team, so the exec team in the East of England region, on how to best align our delivery and strategic operations. Also similarly to Ajoa, so I'm a registered midwife background, and wear quite a few other hats as well. So I wouldn't necessarily refer to myself as a digital expert, but somebody who is interested in digital and then also kind of bringing awareness to some of the gaps in relation to health inequalities.
Okay, so we've been here to kind of give you a bit of a viewpoint around sort of why women networks and women networks, particularly in health and informatics, is really important. But I kind of wanted to set the scene a little bit just with regards to kind of the figures. So what we do know is sort of as of sort of 2023, about 420,000 women were working in the sort of tech field. That's about 20% of the whole sort of tech workforce. But interestingly, considering a fairly decent number, only 5% were working in 2023 at senior leadership level. And actually, in terms of underrepresentation, only about 1% of IT tech specialists are Black women. It's not because of talent. We actually have loads of talent in this field. And actually, we find that more women have higher education qualifications than their male counterparts. It works out about 80%. So when we look at kind of like the NHS and kind of the figures around it, even though the NHS is one of the most diverse workforces in the UK, actually that's also not reflected when we speak on the ground for digital health leadership. And actually it's really absent for women and women of colour. So this is an area that we know needs more work to be done. So in terms of kind of some of the barriers that are faced by women working within health and tech, there's real key things, and probably the top three is around bias. So there's about 64% of female leaders working within tech who feel at some point they've experienced bias because of their gender. There's obviously the money in terms of the gender pay gap, and actually women working as tech specialists at the top of their field is usually about 6% less than their male colleagues. And I don't think imposter syndrome is kind of exclusive to women or anybody. I think actually we can all experience it in different ways, but actually in terms of women finding it in tech and in health tech in particular, often it's a key factor why people don't progress. And actually, when they looked at the 2025 Lovelace report, one of the reports was the fact that even though 90% of women wanted to progress into leadership within tech health, actually about 25% actually thought that was achievable. There's a huge impact for this. There's about 40 to 60,000 women leaving tech every year, which works out about 2.5 to 3.5 billion a year in the economy because of all that talent that is leaving for some of these reasons outlined here. What did we do as a network? Well, this is the Shuri network. Don't know if we've got any Marvel fans in the audience, but if anybody's seen Black Panther, there's one particular character called Shuri, and that's what the Shuri network is named for. Shuri was a young female, a young Black female who, using tech and using innovation, was leading her family and her country to success. And that's what we really wanted to kind of put across, because that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build a diverse network of women who can really add value and make sure that we have services that reflect the communities that we serve. So this is our co-founder here, and it's quite small, so apologies for that. Dr. Shira Chok, who launched in 2019 the Shuri Network, where she presented at Digital Health Summer School. As you can see, it's a very diverse female panel, all talking about digital health, all really excited about where the possibilities are, where they go. But also what we can see in the audience is that actually it wasn't very visible that and didn't mirror that. I can see today, looking around the room, things have changed and they continue to change. And 6 years on, if you see the Digital Health Summer School, you'll also see that there as well, as we've been supported. So this is some of our network members. And in 6 years, we have done so much. So we've had 4 digital fellowships, supporting about 170 plus women to go on to develop their digital skills, health and leadership, to continue to be advocates for why it's so important that we have women and women of colour within health. We've had 3 really successful podcast series talking about demystifying kind of tech and health and the roles within it, so that actually lots of people who want to make that transition, if they're working as clinicians and kind of want to get more involved in digital, know that there's a place for them in data and also in research. We've supported with bursaries. I lead on the alumni, so for the alumni, we launched our pilot last year, and I'm just launching a new regional model, where we're really looking to take our fellows to the next part of their journey, because actually it's really easy to get in the room, but what do you do when you're in the room? So we need support. Our alumni does that, and it's a peer supported model. And we have loads of events. We've had over 100 events. So in a really short amount of time, we've been able to mobilise, thanks to all the support around. Thank you. The NHS England has been a huge, huge champion for us. We've been fantastic allies. We're now at about 4,000 plus members. And we are very, very lucky for all the volunteers and support that we get. Very often you'll hear the Shuri magic, and if you come to any of our events, you will definitely feel that. Because we are really making changes for all these people that are a part of the network. They feel part of a community, they feel seen. We've seen about 40% of our alumni have progressed in their roles. Some people that haven't moved for years, and now all of a sudden moving to senior roles. At least 5 of our members have become CNIOs or deputy CNIOs. There's a real growth in confidence. Our last fellowship had about 97% confidence ratings of actually going through the fellowship and what big success that was. We've got lots of award winners amongst us. And actually we've got a couple more coming up. It's actually on Friday for the Zenith Health Awards. We've had a few nominated, and our allies have been nominated as well. And we really just want to create a safe space where people can continue to thrive. And I think that's a really, really important thing, because actually in this work, the work is hard for all of us right now. It feels very polarized at the moment. So actually it's a really important thing that we're continuing to support our members in that way.
That's fine. So Adra just asked me to share a bit of my journey. So I'll talk about how I kind of got into digital health, or how I started. So my entry into digital health, I was working as a midwife at UCLH, and at the time we were about to implement Epic as the EPR system. So they were looking for midwives to kind of represent. And at the time, to be honest, I didn't know what it was. I just was looking for something different. It had digital in the title, and I thought, oh, I kind of like know how to navigate tech, so I'll give it a try. So went in, and at the time, our CNIO actually was a woman. So I've always had that kind of representation of women in leadership. And that was a really an amazing experience. Spent a couple of years doing that. So that kind of really opened up the door for me to kind of say, what else is out there? Because I know it's more than the EPR system. At the time, a lot of our midwives were not really comfortable with that change. So I wanted to delve into a bit more around digital, how we could use that to transform health. So I embarked on a role as a digital project manager in the London region doing digital social care, and that was really about supporting social care providers to embark on their digital journey. Whilst I was there, I was introduced to the Shuri network and undertook I think it was cohort 2 of the fellowship, and as part of that fellowship we got mentorship. We also had a lot of sessions around leadership, confidence, you know, what does it really take to be kind of a leader, and what do you need to really bring to that space? How do you bring your own experience and your own self? Because I think that's a big challenge for women of colour, feeling comfortable in these spaces where we're quite marginalised. So that was really transformative for me in terms of networks and meeting people, really building my own confidence in my own leadership. So from there, I went on to do the Digital Health Leadership Programme, which some people may be familiar with at Imperial. And that really helped me, I think, understand a bit more about the world of digital, where we're going, where we're trying to go to, but then also some of the realities around implementing digital systems and solutions. So now I work in the East of England region, and my role is not focused only on digital, but the way I see it is I'm there to kind of represent the voice of those who are not usually seldom heard of in those kinds of spaces. So looking at how we are tackling some of our health inequalities, why some of our projects are not kind of moving in the direction that we need them to, and how we can use digital not only, I think, for healthcare, frontline care, but also operations delivery. So what is the role of AI, especially now that we're potentially going through a restructure with less people, less money, then how can we kind of optimize? And I'm currently now studying at Henley Business School, a apprenticeship MBA. And that's really personal, I guess. I really wanted to understand the business around healthcare. And all of these things I think are great, but wouldn't have happened if I didn't embark on that Shuri fellowship. So I guess to summarize for me, my call to action would be, how do we continue to diversify spaces like this and give access to women like me who maybe typically a few years ago wouldn't have been in a room like this, you know, the sponsorship, the mentorship, you know, who do you know isn't at the table now, or who do you need to be at the table in a few years? And I guess how we as a collective can do something about that to increase the diversity. So I think, yes, it's great that we are obviously developing people, increasing confidence, but why does it all matter? As you know, like I said, I'm a midwife by background. As we know, in maternity, Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to die. And there are massive health inequalities in our healthcare system. So having a much more representative workforce, especially digital workforce, helps to deliver more equitable health outcomes. There's much more improved patient engagement, and then stronger alignment with frontline realities, so that our healthcare service is representative of the communities that we serve and those who need it the most. The gentleman before was talking about social determinants of health, and obviously that helps in that area too. So just the final point, that obviously empowering women in informatics isn't just a gender issue, but it's an imperative for especially the future and sustainability of our healthcare system.
So what can you do to support? I guess it's really important to remember that it's more than just good intentions. Actually, what we need is strategic, sustainable action that is embedded in funding, in policy, in our leadership, in our culture. That is the only way that we'll move forward in this area and supporting women's networks. So really that institutional backing is really, really important. Collaboration and intersectionality, really, really important, especially at this polarized time. We all come from different networks. We're all doing a lot of the same things, but just in one lane. We need to be working more together. We need to be pulling our resources. Diversity is what is going to help us through this next chapter. And it's really pulling on those together to come together. For those of you here who are just thinking, don't know about any of that stuff, but I'd be very happy to like let someone shadow me or someone mentor me, or actually there's somebody I know. Just something small that each of you could do today would be fantastic in kind of moving somebody else along and supporting them in their own leadership and tech journey. We talked a little bit about kind of the figures around it. One area that we still don't really see is kind of actually really drilling down into kind of what is the picture for health informatics within the NHS specifically around kind of our minoritized groups. So again, can we do that? Can we access that? How do we get more information so we really know how we can address the problem around that? And I've got it twice, and I think I'm doing a master's in psychology at the moment, so I think there's something about that around, you know, I think it originally said funding, but I don't think there's going to be much of that. So again, just how do we pool resources? How do we bring things together? And at the very least, you're all very welcome. If you are not a Shuri member and you'd like to sign up today, feel free to go in the queue. Thank you. Any questions?
We've got time for one question, and are you staying with us for, so you'll be around at tea break. Are there any questions? Wow. You've got Scott for it.
So
Just
just-
one.
just
Oh,
ask-
oh, there we go.
Well, I was thinking,
Hoping for that.
is this an international project?
No, so we're UK based, so the network is,
Planning to go international?
I think our founder would most certainly love to go international. That would be great, but we're kind of UK, but we're sort of, yeah, sort of England based at the moment, but yeah, definitely open.
England only, not?
England only at the moment.
Okay, was there one more hand? Philip?
I'm not sure if it's something Shuri initiated, but certainly supported a little while back. There was a very racist comment made by the owner of a particular company that I'm sure is well known to everybody in this room, who still has an OBE. Do you have any influence through NHS England or friends on doing anything about that? Because it strikes me as a great social evil.
We're direct people to the Equity Charter, which was born very much out of that. And one of the kind of key influences around that was actually Dr. Aisha Rahim. She sits in our steering group membership, and she's also a part of that. So look up the Equity Charter. They're actually doing some fantastic work about how we do ensure that things like that don't happen again. And I think that I'd leave it there. But yeah, I think there's just in case we're being recorded, right? So but definitely look up the Equity Charter. They're doing some amazing work, and I think that's a really good place to start, because I do think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that area of procurement. Good questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you.